Hi, you think you want to become a realtor? Sounds like a good job. So I'm going to give you 10 things to know before becoming a realtor. Let you think about it a little. My name is Rick Snyder. I was a realtor for 10 years. And these are the things I wish I kind of knew that you had to feel your way through over the opening years to learn. Okay, realtor is not a bad job. It really isn't. You can make some good money with it. If you have your own schedule, it's flexible. You meet a lot of people. Sometimes the money can be really good. Sometimes it's tough. It depends a lot on things outside of yourself. But if you've been an entrepreneur before, it's a little easier. If you're a guy working on a desk and never done this, it's a little harder. So let's kind of go through how you're going to do this. Number one, most states require you to go to a real estate school and do, where I was, 60 hours of classroom. Basically just not teaching you how to be a realtor, but understanding the real estate laws that you have to follow. And you do have to be somebody that knows how to follow rules on these kind of things. After that, you have to pass an exam. Most states have one, and it's not impossible to do. There's very little math. I'll give you that one. So you just kind of, most of them are not where they're trying to trick you or anything. Pretty straightforward type exams. So you can do it. Trust me. Just study, take the practice quizzes. That's a key. And just keep working at it. You'll be fine. All right. Number two, you've got your license. Now what are you going to go do? You get to go pick where you want to work. This is kind of a backwards relationship. Most of the times you think you're going out for job interviews, they pick you. It's the other way around. You're picking them, and never forget that. That's a key thing. And you have to decide, who do you want to go work for? Do you want to work for a big company where you're one of 100 agents, but they offer you a little more tools of how to get started and a little more name recognition? Or do you want to work for a small company that the broker is actually going to pay attention to you and help groom you? Personally, I took the small route. I liked working for small real estate companies. I went on and worked for one of the biggest in the country, and then I actually came back and worked for a small company because I like that type of atmosphere. But that's really up to you on that. But remember, you have to ask them key questions like, what are you going to do for me? Because you're there to make them money. They don't pay you up front. And I'll talk about money in a little bit. But they're not paying you up front. They're getting a percentage of what you make. So you want somebody that can help you make money. Somebody who can work with you in contracts. Somebody that actually knows your name and you're not one of 100 agents they're trying to get. That's a real key thing. So pay attention when you're doing that. Interview with several groups and then pick one. All right. Number three. Hopefully you know a lot of people. We call it the sphere of influence. Although in the South where I am, we call it the spear of influence, like we're going to stab somebody. But the sphere of influence means how many people can you possibly say, hey, I'm a realtor, in case you're thinking about buying or selling. And what they've learned, the studies show, is you have to tell somebody that 7 times before they really remember you. You know, it's a constant marketing thing I'll get to in a moment. But are you part of any kind of groups? You know, any kind of groups, civil, professional, anybody you can talk to. That helps a lot. Are you somebody that's good at pitching yourself to other people? That helps a lot. And now marketing, number 4 here. Marketing is a real hard thing to tell you about because most of the time people are just BSing you. Now, there's a lot of companies, here's the red flag. They go, listen, if you just make one deal, it pays for this. You're not there to pay for them and make them money. You're there to make you money. So you do not want to take a lot of these deals that cost a lot of money to advertise in because they're not going to make you any money. But you do have to market yourself because nobody else is going to know who you are. Deals just don't come to you. You know, you're not just sitting there on a desk and going, hello, yeah, I sell homes, no problem, come on over. It barely ever happens. Once in a blue moon, you'll get a call like that, but pretty rare. So personally, I did postcards. They're the cheapest. Do them in bulk rate. Learn how to do a bulk rate permit with your local postmaster will save you a lot of money. And people say, oh, if you do this or this, most of the time it's a numbers game. You send out 1,000 postcards, you might get a call. It's worth it. Postcards aren't that expensive. But to put in big space advertising in places, it really doesn't work for you very often, unless you're a big name. That's down the road. But getting started, you want to keep your expenses as low as possible. So I would say look at that kind of thing. Niches, number 5. What kind of realtor do you want to be? Do you want to sell residential homes? Do you want to sell commercial space? Do you want to work with older people? reverse, selling their homes or estates. There's a million different ways to sell real estate. And at first you'll say, listen, whatever pays me, I'll go do. And I did that too. We all do that. But after a while, you learn what's in your wheelhouse. What are you better at? You might be better at being a listing agent selling homes. You might be better working with buyers. Everybody does a little of both. But you kind of want to learn, specialties. Because once you really hone in on a specialty, you get better at it. And you do more business that way. You might be working with renters. There's lots of different things. So think about, what part of this would you most like to do? In the beginning, take whatever deal you can get your hands on, but eventually keep looking toward what do you do best. All right, number 6, picking a region. Listen, there, when I started out, my first deal was about an hour and a half from my house. And I drove it, got lucky, they bought a house right away. I did up to 2 hours away from my house and then had the guy walk away from the deal at the end. So, you have to decide how much of that can you handle. Because there's going to be a lot of deals that you do that fall apart at the last minute for different reasons, have nothing to do with you. Maybe the guy couldn't do financing in the end. I don't know. I had somebody I spent 3 days with then tell me, oh man, I'm hoping to clear bankruptcy soon, so maybe I can do something. What? You can't get a loan with a bankruptcy? Wasted 3 days of my time. I learned to ask that question really right away. Have you been involved in a bankruptcy in the last couple of years? So the mistakes that you make all the time will teach you how to be better. But a lot of times you want to work somewhere close to home. So hopefully you live in an area where there's a lot of houses being sold. Try and specialize in an area, concentrate your advertising in that area. The scatter shot makes it so much harder to do. Number 7, laws and paperwork. I hope you're good at paperwork because you're going to need it. When you write contracts, they might be 40 pages on this, and they might have 6 different addendums specialized to this situation. There's an addendum like to tell people to notify them there's an airport in the area because, they'll hear the noise and they'll be upset about it. Well, if you tell them the addendum when they're buying a house, they can't sue about it. There's a lot of crazy things like that. And that's where your broker comes in handy. Never be afraid to show your broker your contract before you have it written, because you're going to say, do I have everything? Did I get anything wrong? That's key, because you don't want to be subject to a problem on things. And I could do a whole video about that. But always show that out. And laws, know what the laws are. And that's what the schooling's for. And most states make you take, about 15 hours of continuing education every 2 years to renew your license. Most licenses go about 2 years. And you'll learn things, things like never discuss race with anybody. That's a big no-no federally. Somebody might say, hey, what kind of people live here, what race or this or that? And you want to be a good guy and say, well, this area is this. No, do not. And I have bad news for you. There are people called testers who are with these groups that go out there and test realtors, trying to trick you, trying to weed out racist realtors, and they'll try and get you in trouble. So the best thing to do is keep your mouth shut about such things. And your broker will talk to you about it, and so will the schools. You do not want to get caught up in that. So know the laws about things like this. Don't speak about things you don't know. And even things like schools. What school district we in? You make them go find out, not you. All right, number 9. All right, finally, how much are you going to make? I don't know. It just depends on you and the economy and the area you're in. Most of the time, you're going to split your commission with a real estate broker. Most of the time, for residential and all, you're going to start off, you get 70%, they get 30%. Okay, sounds like a fair enough deal. And the more you sell, the better you'll get. Like at some point, you'll get to 80% or maybe 90%. There are real estate companies where you pay a monthly fee and you get to keep 100%. Just depends. When you start out, it's probably 70%. And if you think, well, I can sell 2-3 homes, you may do better. I know realtors that made 6 figures. I know realtors who made no figures. I had good years. I had so-so years on this. It varies. But the potential is you can make some decent money. But real estate's usually a side hustle by most people. Not a lot of full-time realtors. Some, but it's mostly a side hustle, at least in your early years till you build up a clientele on that. I know, but there are other ways to do it. You can be part of a team where you share in the money that several realtors work together in. There's also things like broker priced opinions where banks pay you to fill out a bunch of paperwork on a home's worth before they do a loan. You make a few bucks on that. There's ways to work this, so don't be afraid of that. Finally, and I know we could go on for an hour, I'm sorry, but finally, time to exit. If you're a realtor and you've been doing this for a while, maybe you keep going. But the hardest thing to do is walk away in the end, or walk away before you even start. For me, after about 10 years, one of my kids bought a home, and I was glad to do it with them, but it was such a hassle. And I'd been through a bad market for a few years. And I finally decided, even selling a home, I wasn't enjoying this. It's time to go. So just kind of listen to yourself about these kind of things and know when to go or when to increase. It'll be frustrating at times. It'll be great at times. Nothing better than collecting a check at the settlement table. But always have a backup idea. All right. I hope it works out for you out there. Best of luck becoming a realtor. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it, but I also knew when it was time to go. I'm Rick Snyder, wishing you the best of luck out there.